Welcome to Living Simple and Well, the audio diary for the woman who's doing her best to live a meaningful life, one boundary, one deep breath, one messy day at a time. Hosted by a girl just getting by. This podcast is your safe space for raw conversations, real life lessons, and tiny shifts that make a big impact. From navigating complicated relationships and motherhood meltdowns to curating a soft, slow morning routine and showing up for your dreams. We're talking about it all, vulnerably, honestly, without the pressure to have it all figured out. Here, it's not about hustle culture or perfection. It's about coming home to yourself, simplifying the noise, and choosing to live well on your own terms. So pour your coffee, take a walk, or hide in your closet for some peace and quiet. You're safe here. Friends, and welcome back to Living Simple and Well. I am so glad you're here today. If you are new here, welcome. If you are coming back, thank you for tuning back in. We are diving into a topic today that I know that so many of us as women and mothers probably wrestle with, and that is identity. Specifically, the versions of ourselves that coexist throughout our journey in motherhood. Because let's be very real here. When you become a mom, it feels like the world expects you almost to trade in your old self for this shiny, selfless, perfectly put together mom identity. But that's not the whole story. Yes, in massive ways, motherhood changes us, but it doesn't mean that the woman we were before disappears. She's still there alongside the woman that we are becoming. I wanted to talk about this today after personally having a pretty tough week. I had a wicked panic attack last week. I have had them before, but this one takes the cake. I have high functioning anxiety, which essentially means that I am almost always anxious, but also rather good at dealing with it, or at least presenting in a way that makes it look like I have my ish together. Last Thursday, however, that was not the case. A few too many outfit changes because I didn't like how I looked, piled with dog poop on the living room floor and my daughter fighting with her socks, sent me on a spiral. I became extremely overwhelmed, overstimulated, and I fell deep into a hole that, admittedly, I don't know that I'm fully even out of yet. I have definitely felt increasingly better every day that has gone by, but this was the first time that I actually couldn't get myself out of it rather quickly. I shared more about this on my personal Instagram. If you're not following me over there, you can find me at Mama Finally with ways that I have kind of coped with it, supplements that I'm trying, and blood work and therapy, and I'm doing all of the things. But today what I wanted to talk about was letting go of parts of ourselves, our past selves, the beauty of evolving into new versions of ourselves, and the permission that we all need to give ourselves to hold space for both. So if you've ever thought, I miss the old me, but I also love who I am now, this episode is for you. There's this narrative out there that in order to become a good mom, you have to give up the things that made you, you. The carefree hobbies, the passions, the spontaneity, the parts of your identity that existed before diapers, nap schedules, and car seats. And while, yes, your day-to-day looks very different now, I bet, here's the truth. You don't actually lose yourself in motherhood, you expand. Motherhood stretches you in ways that you can never even imagine. It pulls on your patience, your creativity, your resilience. It also reshapes your sense of self. The woman you were before motherhood, she's still here. She might show up in softer, slower, more intentional ways, but she definitely didn't disappear. Maybe she no longer stays out late every weekend, but she still craves connection and laughter. Maybe she doesn't spend hours painting or reading uninterrupted, but the spark of creativity, it still exists. It still lives inside her. Motherhood doesn't erase her passions. It weaves them into a new rhythm. And here's the beautiful part. Expansion means that you're not just the old you or the mom version of you. You're both. You're blended into something fuller, richer, and more layered. You get to carry forward the parts of yourself that matter while embracing the new strengths and perspectives through motherhood. So if you've ever felt like you're losing yourself, I want you to remember this. You're not lost. You're simply becoming more. If you're feeling lost in motherhood right now, I want to encourage you to think back to who you were before you had your kids. Maybe you love to travel, or a good late night dance floor, or writing poetry, or spending quiet mornings with coffee and a journal. What piece of that woman could you bring forward into this life, even in a small way? That's the integration, friends. That's how she coexists with the mother you are today. Now, let's be honest. There is grief in motherhood. Not grief about our children, but grief about the life and the version of ourselves that we did leave behind. As someone who struggled to conceive for almost 7 years, I fell very quickly into newborn bliss and actually ignored postpartum blues that I was suffering from. I didn't even realize I'd changed so much so quickly. For me, I grieved the slower mornings and the freedom to just get up and decide what I wanted to do that day. I grieved the ease of picking up and traveling without planning months ahead or packing a ton of snacks and toys in the car. And you know what? That grief didn't mean I wasn't also very grateful for my daughter. It just meant that I was human. I think it's important that we say this out loud. Grief and gratitude can coexist. Missing who you were doesn't mean that you love your life any less right now. It just means that you're acknowledging this change. The best part, as I learned more about being a mom, as my daughter went through different phases and stages of life, as I learned, I realized too, I was going through those phases as well. And that every season of life brought both new challenges, but also new opportunities. As a mom to a now almost 7-year-old, I have my slow mornings back. We can travel a little bit more spontaneously, and there's not as much needed to pack. It's nothing a good character juice and iPad can't cure on a long road trip. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that motherhood isn't about replacing who you were with someone entirely new. It's about layering in your identities. You don't wake up one day and suddenly the woman you were before is completely gone, replaced with a different version who only exists in service to everyone else. Instead, it's like stacking pieces of yourself, the old, the new, the emerging. You're not just mom. You're mom and a dreamer, mom and an entrepreneur, mom and a friend, a partner, a seeker, a creative. Those layers build on each other and they give your life texture and depth. Now, I'll be honest. Sometimes those identities feel like they're in conflict. You might think, can I really be both ambitious and nurturing? Can I really love motherhood and also crave space away from it? Can I want to be fully present at the soccer game and also excited about the project I'm building? And the answer, friend, is yes. It's not about choosing one or the other. It's about allowing the and. The and is what gives you freedom. The and is what makes you whole. When you deny one part of yourself, you end up living small, boxed in an identity that was never meant to define you on its own. But when you honor the layers, you realize they don't actually compete, they enrich each other. Your ambition teaches your kids what's possible. Your creativity shows them how to dream. Your friendships remind them of the value of connection. Your partnership models love and teamwork. And your motherhood, at the core, grounds it all with purpose. So if you've been wrestling with the guilt of wanting more alongside motherhood, let this be your permission slip. You're not selfish for holding both. You're not broken for feeling stretched. You're layered, and that's the beauty of it. Here's a tool that I love that I want to share with you. I call it my coexist list. I want you to write down all of the identities you currently hold. Mother, partner, business owner, friend, sister, dreamer, wellness seeker. When you see them together on paper, it's a reminder that you're not fragmented, you're whole. All of these parts coexist within you. Some might take center stage in different seasons of life, but none of them ever disappear. There's this pressure in motherhood to get back to yourself. People will say, you'll feel like yourself again soon, but what if you're not supposed to? What if you're meant to become a whole new version of yourself? One that never ever existed like this before. It's okay if you don't want to do the same things you did before kids. It's okay if your dreams and passions shift. It's okay if the old you feels distant. Because maybe she's not meant to come back. Maybe she's meant to transform. Motherhood can awaken new layers of you. Maybe you never cared about wellness before, and now it's central. Maybe you never thought you'd start a business, but motherhood gave you the drive to do so. Maybe your creativity looks different, but it's still alive. I personally knew that I wanted to work from home so I could raise my babies. I thought that would be with remote corporate roles, but being laid off the day before giving birth to my daughter saw me find freelancing and then entrepreneurship. Even just this past summer, I made a major pivot in my professional life that has led me here, leaning into community building, content creation, and more creative ventures like this podcast. I'm yearning to grow my family, We've been trying for years, a second time around now. And lately, I have just had this gut feeling that I need to slow down. I have always been ambitious. I have always strived to make a lot of money, have a lot of success. But lately, I have been eager to just simply be and to let my days flow more naturally. I believe as women that we are more intuitive to know when change is coming. And I can hope and pray that this is in preparation for the growth and expansion of our family and genuinely for new beginnings for us as well. Motherhood doesn't erase us, it stretches us. It's not about losing yourself, it's about becoming more of yourself. You are allowed to grieve the past versions of you while still loving the one you're in now. You're allowed to hold contradictions. You're allowed to let your identity keep unfolding because that's what living is. So today, I want you to take a moment for yourself. Write your coexist list. Light a candle for your past self. Give yourself the permission you need to evolve. And remember, every version of you has value. Every version of you deserves love. If this conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. Please come find me on Instagram at Living Simple and Well. Share your reflections or your coexist list with me. Let's continue this conversation together, friends. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, keep living simple and well.